Arkansas is one of 4 states in the country that doesn't have a hate crime law in place. The governor is urging lawmakers to change that in the near future. KNWA's and Azuka spoke to legislators on both sides of the issue to find out, is crime just a crime?
We think that all humans should be able to feel and live a life without fear and feel safe in their life here in this state and not feel that they're going to be targeted because of how they look.
Maria Reyes is the founder of local immigrant rights advocacy group Arkansas United.
I can definitely affirm that Arkansas immigrants have been victims of hate crime.
A Mexican immigrant herself, her organization has worked closely with state lawmakers to pass hate crime laws, an issue Governor Asa Hutchinson spoke out about in August.
What we saw in Texas, it appears that someone traveled 300 miles across the state to target Hispanics. That's wrong.
In August, 21-year-old Patrick Crucius killed 22 people in what was the deadliest mass shooting of 2019 at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas. Police say he published a manifesto with white nationalist and anti-immigrant ideas before the shooting.
They ought to have an increased penalty because it does such violence to our society. We don't want people targeted because of their religion. We don't want them targeted because of who they are.
There's a misconception that somehow hate crimes treat some crimes as being more important than others, and that's not really what it is.
Arkansas, Georgia, South Carolina, and Wyoming are the 4 states that don't have hate crime laws in place. In 2017, State Senator Greg Leding of Fayetteville tried to change that, but did not get the support he needed to pass the legislation. House Bill 2088 would have enhanced penalties for people who committed crimes against another based on the victim's race, color, religion, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability.
There were questions about, well, why, if an Hispanic person is murdered, is that any more important than if I were murdered? And it's not that that murder is more important, but if somebody murders an Hispanic person out of hate, then that whole community is terrorized.
Most hate crimes legislation across the country basically say that if you belong to this particular group, then your interests are protected at a higher capacity than some other person. And I think generally that's just unfair.
State Senator Bob Ballinger of Berryville says hate crime laws further divide an already fractured country.
In our society today, we have a real problem where we are segmented into groups. We're not focused on being Americans. We're not focused on being Arkansans. We're not focused on being, citizens of a community.
And this bill would protect anybody, Catholics, blacks, gays. If somebody commits a crime against you and it's found to be done out of hate, you would be protected by this law.
What about white people?
White people as well.
Ballinger adds that increasing someone's prison sentence, as Leding's bill suggested, won't help the issue, especially in a state he says incarcerates more people than almost any other.
Well, on my side of the aisle, we'll execute them. That's what, if you're going to say, okay, it's first-degree murder, so how do you enhance that? You give them the death penalty.
To Ballinger, government involvement would make the problem worse. Instead, Arkansans should work to stop hate crimes from happening in the first place.
People need to start being nice to each other. I know that seems simple, like naive, but that's true. If we'll quit looking at what divides us so much, we'll realize that there's a lot out there that does unify us.
To Wraith, the solution to this systemic problem is a little more complicated.
We hope and aspire, like Senator Ballinger, that there will be a day where we can all have these conversations and know that we can all have these conversations, but that is not today.
In April, Indiana became the newest state to pass a hate crime law, but that came with its own problems. Senate Leader Tim Lannon argued that it wasn't inclusive enough, leaving out protections for age, gender, and gender identity. I looked at each state's crime laws and which groups they protect. You can check out the breakdown on our website. That's nwahomepage.com. In studio, in Azuka, KNWA, Northwest Arkansas News.